So the psychological control was introduced called controlled spontaneity. And what this is, it basically tries to shape the public response to a tragedy by couching it to focus on empathy for the victims and a sense of unity rather than reacting with violence and anger. And we saw it here, Nick.
Yeah,
this
Manchester Bee.
symbol of yours. So when the Manchester bombing happened...
That Manchester Bee, my wife won that at an auction.
At an
auction. I know the lady who made it, very talented, but my wife won it at an auction.
So what they do is they deliberately channel anger or immediate reaction into this control spontaneity thing where it's about unity and love, and it's look back in anger, and we've got the Manchester Bee and all those sort of things. And they tried to do it. They tried to do it with the murder of the 3 little girls as well, but it didn't work this time. And apparently one of the things they did was what was called a Swifties bubble blow. They tried to create this where
sounds like a porno.
Swifties bubble blow. So local tribute. Now, whether this was actually engineered by some of these shadowy organisations, but basically it was.
They jumped on it.
They jumped on it. It was local kids were asked to blow bubbles into the sky to send kisses to heaven, to comfort the dead girls' souls, while a local musician sang a heartfelt song. Well, it's absolute bollocks. Of course, it is. That doesn't do anything to stop these things happening. But I think they were trying to create again something like the Manchester Bee, a symbol or an idea where it's about let's hold hands together, we're all communities together, and all that sort of crap. Basically,
this works because it's a distraction technique. You've got children, so you remember when they were toddlers, and you knew they were going to cry or they wanted something, and you look at them going, they're going to start crying now, and then you go, oh, what's that? Have you? And suddenly,
distract them.
And then they forget they were going to cry, and it's a little bit like that. So the government knows there's going to be a reaction, and the government knows that people want to do something. There's been a tragedy. We want to do something, so we can either go out and riot and cause violence and beat people up or find people we think did it and kill them, or we can stand at our front doors at 7 o'clock and bang a pan. It achieves nothing, but then when we go back in the house, we feel like, well, we've done something there. We've made our feelings known. We were part of a mass movement that did that, so that helps with my wanting to belong to a tribe and tribal loyalties. It sent a signal to the world that, in that particular case, the NHS is great. But it's again with the Manchester Bee. We had half my friends at it. Would come out and say, oh, I've got a bee now. It's like, well, what do you get that for? Oh, well, I want, because of the Manchester bombing, right? Can you explain how that tattoo is going to stop the next Islamic nutcase killing someone? No, it just makes me feel. It makes me feel like I've done something, because when there's been a tragedy, everybody wants to do something, and if the government can give you a silly, non-violent, pathetic, easy cop-out that still fulfills your need to do something but doesn't cause trouble for anybody else, there we go. And that's exactly what these things are.
And apparently there was an academic study, I haven't seen it, I didn't get a chance to actually read it, but there was a study in 2021 about the Manchester bombings and the events, and apparently all these events were organised by Manchester City Council. And were designed to bring them together. And in this concept, there's more than unites us than divides us. There's more that unites us with the Muslim community than divides us in terms of these horrific bombings. And it worked. It worked, didn't it?
These things, I don't think it worked as in I don't think their campaign worked. We weren't ready 7 years ago. So their campaign, they thought it worked. But if they hadn't run that campaign, there'd been no violence anyway. Our tolerance, we've not reached the top of our tolerance level yet.
But what they've done, and this is what this article was saying, is they tried to do the control spontaneity to disingenuously relabel an attack from a non-white adult on little white children as a non-religiously motivated attack upon an arbitrary community of pop star fans. So they tried to link it to Taylor Swift. They tried to say, oh, this is an attack on Taylor Swift fans or whatever, and that's why the Swiftie bubbles and things like that. It's nothing to do with Taylor Swift, is it? It's just a coincidence that Taylor Swift, but the number of times you've heard her name mentioned in all this, even she wrote a little letter saying it's terrible what's happened. That again was part of the controlled spontaneity to try and say, oh, it's an attack on Taylor Swift and her fans and all that sort of crap. And and it's interesting, isn't it? We've then heard subsequently about Taylor Swift having to cancel in Germany. So is this about Taylor Swift, or is this about 3 little girls getting murdered in Southport? Because they're distracting and diverting as far as they can, can't they? All over the place into other areas, basically.
Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.